Now, when you think of a challenger player smurfing in your elo, you probably imagine a sweaty tryhard stomping from start to finish with a ridiculous KDA, taking every little razor edge advantage possible. This could not be further from the truth. In reality, when playing in lower elos, smurfs implement what we'll call the Homer Simpson strategy. In this analogy, Homer getting punched in the face repeatedly represents our teammates feeding, while we stick to fundamental, safe, consistent play, taking no risks. Instead, the enemy will be the one to force a terrible play, making for easy game-losing mistakes we can then capitalize on. I know, sounds too good to be true. I mean, if the enemy team was really that bad in your games, you'd recognize it and easily win, right? Well, let's find out. In this guide, we'll be putting your skills to the test. If you get all the questions right, then congratulations. The next time you lose a game, you can type in the post-game chat how you're really our resident challenger smurf Hector, and it's your team that let you down. More likely though, is that by the end of this guide, you'll realize the key to climbing was under your nose the entire time, you just didn't know what to look for. By the way, we created a brand new custom course just for this guide at skillcap.com. It's there you can unlock over 1 hour and 40 minutes of site exclusive content, where we walk you through exactly how to implement the strategy you're about to learn to climb all the way from gold to diamond elo. Find out more along with a discount code at the end of the guide. Alright, so in order to do this, I've been sent to gold elo. Why gold? Well, most players don't know that quite literally 90% of the player base is ranked gold or below. And don't worry, if you're ranked higher, as everything you're going to learn here in this guide applies there too, probably even more so. The main reason though I was sent to the depths of gold is that one of the most common complaints we get when we create guides in the higher ranks is that it's unrealistic, that my teammates wouldn't react to that play or have that kind of map awareness. You get the idea. Don't worry, none of that here, I promise you. These are all organic, free-range gold players in their natural habitat. So let's jump into it and I'll show you the strategy in action. Okay, so in this game, I picked Kha'Zix jungle because I have no self-respect and am a Kha'Zix main, and I'm facing off against a Zed jungle. In top lane, we have Darius with Flash and Ghost against Kled with Flash and Ignite. In mid lane, we have the totally standard gold matchup of Malphite with Flash Ignite against Mordekaiser with Flash Ignite. And in bot lane, we have Vayne and Nami against Kog'Maw and Ahri support. Yes, you heard that right. So, as a jungler, your first decision is which buff to start at, and it's also one of the most important questions to get right. So, as Kha'Zix in this game, should you A, start at blue, passing towards bot side, looking to take advantage of that questionable Ahri support pick, B, start red, then do Raptors into Gromp for a fast level 3, looking to influence the volatile top and mid lane matchups early on, or C, do red, Krugs, Raptors for a same side level 3 to keep us versatile. We can gank mid after, head topside for a gank if needed, or fall back on full clearing. First, let's start with the wrong answers. A is incorrect. When evaluating lanes to path towards, you typically first look at the gank potential. Strong ganks can equal early kills. In this case, our bot lane is a Vayne Nami, who don't exactly have consistent, easy to land crowd control for us. The second thing you then look for is the early push potential. Strong push by your laners means early lane priority. This secures us scuttles and possible invades on the enemy jungle since they can react first. In this case, Vayne and Nami have much less wave clear in their kits, since Vayne does single target damage compared to Kog'Maw and Ahri early on. A lane with weak push and weak gank setup is not exactly an ideal choice. If you answered C, unfortunately that's also incorrect, but for different reasons. Although on the surface, it seems like farming our red, Krugs, and Raptors keeps us versatile. I mean, after Raptors, we could gank mid, or pivot to an immediate gank top, or even full clear. The problem is, it's just too slow, given how volatile our top and mid lane matchups are. And that leaves us with B, the correct answer. By doing red, Raptors into Gromp, we hit one of the fastest level 3s in the game, putting us in position to get possible free kills in the volatile matchups top and mid. By the way, the reason these matchups are volatile is that they are melee matchups. Melee matchups mean the laners are far more likely to fight as they move up close to last hit. Additionally, none of these melee matchups have teleport, they all took aggressive summoner spells, so it's clear they're all playing to try and win the lane. Alright, so we start red. Now, the second thing you need to do every single game is identify where the enemy jungler started. This is typically done by seeing which lane arrives in lane late, as this indicates they gave a leash to the jungler and so he started on that side of the map. In this game, we move our camera and see Kled shows top first, while the enemy bot is still missing. So, question time, I want you to tell me, where did the enemy jungler start? At his blue buff or red buff? Well, this was a bit of a trick question. The correct answer is actually red buff. Despite Kled showing top first, indicating the enemy Zed was getting a leash from bot lane, when we moved our camera, we could see that Kled was actually missing health, telling us that he leashed at the red buff and took damage from it. It's very common for people in lower to mid elos to try and fake leash by hiding in Fog of War and letting the guy who actually leashed arrive in lane first. But an enemy missing health or mana is a dead giveaway this is happening, which is why you don't want to just rely on your minimap. You want to move your camera and check their HP and mana of the first side laner that appears. So we know Zed is starting at his red and is therefore pathing towards the bot side of the map. Keep this info in the back of your mind as it will be relevant in a future question. So we then take Raptors next and head to our Gromp after. Now we're going to hit level 3 after we kill Gromp, and so it's important we check our nearby lane states. If we take a look mid, we can see our Malphite is pushed in and half health against a full health Mordekaiser. And in top lane we see Darius absolutely crushing Kled in a trade. So no easy question for you here. Obviously after Gromp we want to head top for that free gank, but as we're on the way, Darius actually kills Kled solo. So now is when we have a real decision to make. Do we A, continue to head top to help Darius shove out the wave so it resets and he can recall, B, gank the overextended Mordekaiser mid, or C, head back into our jungle to farm our blue? Again, let's start with the incorrect answers. A would be the wrong choice for several reasons. Firstly, remember that we know Zed started at his red and so is pathing bot side. Even though Darius is low on health, there's very little risk of him being ganked. Secondly, remember that Kled took Ignite, not Teleport, and so we'll have to slowly walk all the way back to lane. This gives Darius plenty of time to push the wave in and reset it by himself. The answer B is also incorrect. Ganking a lane that has a health and level advantage is a terrible idea. Even though Mordekaiser is overextended, it would take a long time to kill him, allowing Zed to easily rotate from the jungle and counter-gank. Even if that didn't happen, Mordekaiser could just turn on Malphite and easily kill him with Ignite and his level advantage. And so that leaves us with our only other option, C. We go back into the jungle to farm and don't take any unnecessary risks. Now, as we kill our blue buff, we spot Zed ganking bot lane. Zed is level 3, has double buffs, and we hit tab to see that he has 16 CS. Keep in mind that each jungle camp is worth 4 CS, so it means he's done 4 camps total. We'll keep this information in the back of our mind. Before we get ahead of ourselves though, let's take a moment and look at things from Zed's point of view prior to this gank. Looking at bot lane right now from Zed's perspective, is this a good gank for Zed or a bad gank for Zed? The answer is it's a bad gank. Not only do Vayne and Nami have a huge wave built up, but Kog'Maw and Ahri are down an entire level. I want you to notice how this is almost identical to the previous decision we just made, where we identified we should not gank mid despite Mordekaiser being overextended. So it's only 3 minutes into the game, and you can see how the enemy has already made their first mistake while we avoided ours. The Homer Simpson strategy has started to kick in. Now, Zed is able to get both of their flashes, but that was only due to Ahri having to use her own flash as well. Then, as Zed waits to regank, notice how Ahri is now half health. And our bot lane still have that big wave to fight in and that minion lead, which will then result in them hitting level 3 first. Unfortunately for Zed, it's only now he realizes there's no gank available. Keep in mind, this one bad decision costed him 30 seconds. In that 30 seconds, all we did was farm our 2 camps, and just like that, we're now ahead. Things aren't always that simple though, and we're just getting started, as once we finish this wolf camp, we're at a fork in the road and need to make a very important decision. Should we A, invade the enemy's topside camps? After all, he showed ganking bot side not too long ago, so it should be safe to invade. B, gank mid lane, Mordekaiser is still overextended, Malphite is now the same level and has recovered some health. Or C, take the nearby scuttle that spawned topside. So, A is incorrect. Remember, when we saw Zed bot side, we hit tab and saw he had 14 CS and double buffs. Since he's killed 4 camps, 2 of them being buffs, given the current meta routes, it's likely the other 2 camps are Krug's Raptors or Raptors and Gromp. Either way, it's practically guaranteed at least his Raptors are not alive, and running all the way to his Krugs is simply too much of a time commitment for what we'd get for it. B is also incorrect. Malphite is still lower in health despite catching up in levels, and we saw Zed head to the bot side scuttle, so he should be near mid lane for an easy counter gank. Remember our strategy, we want to minimize risks, not force fights where the outcome is nebulous. We're going to let the enemy be the one to do that. And so that leaves the answer C, take the nearby scuttle that spawned topside. As we're doing this, we see Zed once again force that gank bot side on his losing lane. This baits the level 2 Ahri without flash to try and move up to land a charm, resulting in her dying. They end up trading back 1 for 1, but Zed nearly dies in the process, getting extremely low, and so clearly this gank was once again a mistake. Jumping back to our own position, we're killing Scuttle and spot Zed reganking bot. We know it's a mistake, the question is how do we punish it? So, do we A, gank mid since there's no risk of a counter gank, B, gank top since the wave is pushing towards our side of the map, leaving Kled overextended shortly, or C, invade his topside jungle to steal his camps as maybe enough time has passed that they've respawned? So C is incorrect, as a nice trick is to pay attention to whether the first miner camp you killed has respawned. In this game, we killed raptors after red, so since our raptors haven't respawned, it means the enemy's first miner camp hasn't respawned yet either. The answer A is an okay option, but not the best choice. We can see Mordekaiser just needs to kill these 3 minions, and then he doesn't need to be in lane anymore. So there's a good chance he backs off after he's finished pushing the wave. It's just not very clear what the outcome would be. And even if he does position aggressively, he'll have 4 minions to help him fight, will likely either get his flash or trade 1 for 1 if he turns on one of us since he has Ignite. However, it would let us transition to the bot side of the map where our Krugs are alive and our Raptors are respawning, so it's not necessarily a bad choice, it's just not the optimal one. However, B was the most punishing choice. Here's the thing, side lanes like top are much longer than mid, and so setting up freezes can be just devastating. We know Kled lacks teleport, and so if he dies or gets chunked out from a gank, then he's totally screwed, as Darius can just permanently freeze this wave in front of his tower. So we head topside. Now, a nice trick when ganking is to wait until a minion gets low before you actually gank, as this is most likely when the enemy will walk up to try and last hit it, leaving them the most overextended possible. So we're able to get Kled's flash, and as I leave the lane, the plan is simple. We saw Zed show bot and get low on health, and by now his camp's topside should be respawning any second. So now is the proper time to invade and steal his camps. Pause here. Is it good for us to fight Kled here or bad? Keep in mind, our leap is on cooldown. It's good for us to fight here. Remember, our original goal when we ganked Kled wasn't just to kill him. We knew if we chunked him out that it would result in a lane winning freeze for Darius, since Kled doesn't have teleport to get back to lane. Additionally, Kled's Ignite and Flash are both on cooldown. Meanwhile, we're full health and have Flash. It's very low risk to try and stick some damage onto him before we disengage. So the enemy Kled mistakenly chooses to trade damage with the enemy jungler, and now all Darius has to do is hold the freeze and Kled's lane is over. In this case, since we got Kled off his mount, Darius is actually able to just walk up and kill him. Our top lane now has a massive lane winning lead. However, we're now low in health and have lost our timing window to steal the enemy's topside camps, so we recall. And as we're about to leave base, we have to make a very important decision of what part of the map we should head to. So I want you to tell me, should we A, head straight top to regank Kled once he gets back to lane since the wave is frozen, B, gank the half health overextended Mordekaiser mid, C, gank the pushed enemy bot lane, keep in mind our Nami is still in base at this moment, or D, farm our Raptors or Krugs that have respawned. So let's go over the incorrect answers first. A is incorrect, as Kled just died. We'd be waiting a very long time for him to get back to lane. We also have no camps to farm on that side of the map, so it's just far too risky and expensive of a time cost for us to invest in a regank at this moment. B is also incorrect. Malphite is below half health and low on mana. Ganking mid is too risky, as the enemy jungler could counter gank and Mordekaiser could easily just turn on one of us with Ignite and trade 1 for 1 at best. C is also wrong, as it's only Vayne in lane, making it riskier. Additionally, after pushing this wave, Kog'Maw could easily just recall. Instead, D is the correct answer. We should head to our camps. A nice trick you can do though is notice how both the Raptors and Krugs are close to the 2 lanes that we may want to influence. In this case, if we wanted to influence bot, we could head to our Krugs, farm them while we wait for Nami to arrive, and then gank after if the enemy is still overextended. If we wanted to influence mid, we could then farm our Raptors first with the same idea. In this spot, I decided to head to my Raptors since I thought it more likely Mordekaiser would try to flash Ignite and all in my Malphite soon, and that I might be able to respond to that and clean up a kill. Compare that to bot lane, where I figured if Kog'Maw played properly, he would just recall after the push. However, honestly, both choices are pretty good. So I begin farming my Raptors, and my Malphite gets chunked out and has to recall. So now we have another choice to make. Do we A, soak the free wave mid, B, gank the overextended bot now that Nami is back in lane, or C, farm our Krugs? B would be incorrect, as the enemy bot lane could easily have wards down, the lane state could change by the time we get there, or Zed could just be hovering looking to counter gank us. Remember, we don't want to force risky plays. There's no point, the enemy will make mistakes for us. In this case, both A and C are correct choices. Soaking the wave mid is nice, as it gives us a boost in XP and gold, while also letting us then pick up the Krug camp later for even more XP and gold. The main downside is that we reveal ourselves on the minimap to the enemy team. Alternatively, farming Krugs is a nice choice since it keeps us close to bot, which we may want to gank if a fight breaks out or after we kill the Krugs. It also keeps us hidden off the map. In this case, I'm just greedy and decide to soak the wave mid, but if this was higher elo, I would lean more towards taking Krugs and staying hidden since the enemy jungler could make a lot more plays once he knows where I am. Now, you've probably noticed how in the last two questions, we said that there were two answers that were kind of correct. Sure, if we really wanted to, we could argue about the exact specifics of which one is technically better. However, in reality, what's most important is that we don't choose the clear mistake, choosing the risky play with hard to read outcomes. Alright, so now that we've soaked the wave mid, we have two choices to make. We can either A, move towards the top side of the map looking to possibly dive the enemy Kled that's behind 2 levels, and farming our Gromp and Wolves that will be respawning soon after. Or we can B, move towards the bot side of the map. Our bot lane is now beginning to push, they'll be overextended, and we can farm our Krug camp there. A is incorrect. Sure, a big wave has crashed into the tower right now, but we obviously can't get to top in time to dive with it, plus a dive would be too risky. We also don't need to gank top anymore. Darius is massively far ahead. We actually want the enemy jungler to gank him at this point so that Darius can 1v2 and waste the jungler's time. Instead, you need to recognize it's bot lane that's at a tipping point. Both sides are even in gold and XP. Vayne is low in health though, and the wave is pushing out slowly to the enemy. Basically, if you look at both lanes, it's very obvious that bot lane is in a much more dangerous position if they get ganked and needs our help. So we move to our Krugs and make sure to pull them as close to bot as we can. This way, we can peel off them to counter gank if we spot Zed. And what do you know? We do spot Zed, so we immediately react. Now, one reason counter ganks can be so strong is that the enemy jungler has to use their abilities to make the gank work. Once they put their abilities on cooldown, you can then pop out with all of your abilities ready, basically making them a sitting duck. So, with a successful counter gank and 3 of the enemies dead, should we A, take the dragon, B, recall and spend our gold, we currently have 700 gold, or C, run straight to the top side of the map to farm our camps and possibly gank the pushing Kled? We should take Dragon. With 3 enemies dead, we have a timing window to take riskier objectives like Dragon or stealing enemy camps since they can't be on the map to stop us. We need to take advantage of this. Also, the enemy Mordekaiser likely needed to recall.
Hello there.
Okay, so let's not panic. Keep in mind, Mordekaiser hasn't bought items, so we can easily outplay him here and survive. And there's one very important trick that everybody should know to counter Mordekaiser's ult, and I want you to tell me what it is. I'll give you a hint though, it involves taking advantage of the lack of mobility in Mordekaiser's kit. You always want to try and look out for terrain to use. First, we run to the edge of his ult and wait for him to walk towards us. Then we use our mobility advantage to jump the wall. Now Mordekaiser will have to walk all the way around to get back to us. And by the time he does, we're at the next wall, ready to flash over and create more distance. So at this point, we're not only 1 kill, 1 assist, and 1 camp ahead of the enemy Zed, but we've also snowballed every single one of our teammates. Now, we asked you a lot of questions in this guide, but there were 3 that were the most important for you to get right if you wanted to end up in the same position as a challenger smurf. First was whenever we asked you whether to gank mid, you should have always answered no every time it was far too risky. Instead, that type of risky gank is exactly what Zed chose to do on our bot lane, and that's what gave us our initial advantage. Second was recognizing what to do as a response to Zed's mistake of ganking bot. We looked for opportunities on the opposite side of the map of Zed, and spotted a Kled without teleport with a frozen wave, which resulted in a lane-winning lead for our Darius for the remainder of the game. Third was knowing when top lane was far enough ahead to then snowball on his own, and that bot lane was at a tipping point. This is what set up a game-winning counter gank that not only put our bot lane massively ahead, but also our mid lane shortly after, resulting in every single role having a lead by the 6-minute mark. And if you want to get these kinds of leads, then you need our brand new custom course made just for this guide at skillcap.com. It's there you can unlock over 1 hour and 40 minutes of site exclusive content where we walk you through exactly how to implement the strategy you just learned to climb all the way from gold to diamond elo. That's not all though. With our brand new course page, it's as simple as clicking the jungle role, then selecting the test your skills category, and just like that you have 5 courses with over 35 unique decision trainer guides just like this video, ready for you to take on. Best part, all of this is risk-free with our rank improvement guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Head to skillcap.com and get the rank you've always wanted, discount link in the description below. Alright, so how many questions did you get right? Let us know in the comments section below. We here at SkillCapped want to thank you for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.